Let's bring in Jalen Rose, ESPN NBA analyst. Good to have you on. And what does the word Yoka mean?
Yoke used to mean strong, diesel, having a great physique, physically imposing.
Did you ever hear it used for a dunk, like he got yoked on?
I did. Like when I was really young.
Okay.
That's when that was like 70s, early terminology. But you know what else is funny to hear in modern day slang, and I love Rasheed Wallace, that's my brother, won a championship with the Pistons, by the way, my guy. But it's funny to me when I hear people believe that he created ball don't lie, like people weren't saying that in the early 70s.
I never heard the expression, getting yoked on. I just thought it meant that you were muscle bound.
Anytime somebody gets dunked on, there's an expression for it that's been used at least once. Especially some bad puns also, I'm sure.
What's the worst dunk that you ever got posterized on?
I've never been dunked on because I didn't play defense. and I understood the geometry of the floor, and I was a student of the game and paid attention to players' launch points and stuff like that. Is this a right-hand player jumping off his left leg? Can he go off 2 feet? Can he go out you got to calculate all of that stuff, or you got to whack that arm or whack that shoulder. There's a lot of footage of me getting scored on, but ain't no footage of me getting dunked on.
We had Bosch on the other day, and I forgot that he was with Toronto when Kobe put up 81. Like, he quickly pushed the blame on to other players. He goes, I kept looking up at the scoreboard, and I go, how's this guy scoring 5 points at a time here?
Because Kobe Bryant is one of the all-time greats at basketball, and one of the things I actually now appreciate about being a part of that game is the opportunity to continue to celebrate his legacy, talk about his legacy, talk about that game, and really acknowledge for people what the Mamba mentality is. And it's embodied in that game. He didn't have any highlights in that game. It wasn't – when you watch, the celebration of that game, you're going to, see him get a breakaway two-hand dunk. You're going to see him make, 500 threes on me. But, you're not going to see, any ooh and ah, any killer crossover, any dunk on somebody. And the reason why I like to point that part out is because that's what happens when you're really locked in. And the other thing is he never talked trash. See, one thing about – and I'm a trash talker and was always a trash talker – that once you start talking a lot of trash – then you don't necessarily get to 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 because people start to load up on you, start to try to foul you and things of that nature. So that game really embodies his all-time greatness, and at least we kept him under 100. We kept Wilt's record safe for him.
He's Jalen Rose. He'll appear on NBA Countdown tonight at 8 Eastern, leading into the Mavs-Clippers Game 6 on ESPN. Well, let's start there. What do you think happens tonight?
I believe the Clippers find a way to win this series, and they better. Because when you put together Kawhi and PG, that's the version of what the Lakers were doing with LeBron and AD. Kawhi, top 2 or 3 player. Paul George, top 12 player. You can't go from losing in the second round to the Nuggets when you were up 3-1. Changing coaches and Doc Rivers now to T. Lue. And then getting bounced in the first round by a one-man All-NBA show. In the previous game where 2 guys scored in double figures, and they put Boban out there, and Carlisle did a terrific job of making an adjustment of playing a lot of zone. I remember watching his Dallas Mavs do that in the finals against LeBron. They brought a lot of zone, brought a lot of Porzingis using their size. But I still just, with each team, with each road team winning every game this series, I think the Clippers find a way to force a Game 7. I think they still find a way to win this series because Luka just overall just doesn't have enough offensive help.
Okay, I know that the Lakers will always garner headlines in Los Angeles, and rightly so. But if the Clippers bow out without an excuse of somebody being injured, what's more, I don't know, disappointing, embarrassing, the Lakers bowing out in the first round or the Clippers?
So here's what's more disappointing. The Clippers bowing out after watching the Lakers get bowed out. Just think about this. You get a chance as a Clipper 3 nights ago, to go to bed 10 feet tall. Like, you know what? Lakers just lost to Phoenix. You know, if we go out and play well against the Mavs, we can advance, and we can be the team of L.A. that's still participating. And I can't front, Dan. Who would have thought a couple of years into adding firepower with the Lakers and the Clippers that we wouldn't get them in a playoff series? We didn't get them last year. We're not going to get them this year. So it'll be disappointing for the Clippers. It just reminds me, it's like being a Lions fan. It's like Clippers fans can't have nice things. You know, as soon as they have a little expectation, we start to believe in them, start to put them on primetime TV, and all of a sudden they come up short. But here's one of the roster issues with the Clippers. I've been saying this all season. They have good young talent, and I just wish each of their lead guards was one player. Like the intellect and leadership of Rajon Rondo, the confidence of the offensive confidence of Reggie Jackson, the athleticism of man, the shooting of the Kennard. Like, I just wish all of them was one player. But since they're 4 or 5 players, you end up looking at the end of the game at Kawhi when he takes a three, when he's one of the only players on the team that didn't shoot from 40 this year, and they close out the game and they don't look well. But I'm still going to pick the Clippers to win this series. But let's celebrate Luka's greatness. You don't just see guys out there getting 40s and 14s like he's been doing.
The reason why the Lakers were eliminated is?
Injury. AD plays the entire 7 games, the Lakers win this series. But injuries have been a part of AD's history, just like they're part of Embiid's history. They've been a part of Chris Paul's history. That just happens with certain players. It's why you don't want to be a 7 seed. It's why a 7 seed has never won the championship, because the Lakers would have been required to be the 2 seed, a 3 seed, and likely a 1 seed. You know, and that's just tough sledding, and you have no room for error. When he shoots a jumper in the early before the end of the regular season, and he comes down on the scoreboard, he twists his ankle. You know, you have no room for error. Gets injured, hurts his groin, have no room for error. And the other thing I must say, I give Phoenix a lot of credit, and shout to Monty Williams for his player development with his young guys and integrating Chris Paul, and Devin Booker was outstanding, taking over the game and had a big time first half. But LeBron looked fatigued out there. We can't ignore that. The last 2 or 3 games, in particular in the second half, there's a lot of footage of 4-on-3 breaks, 5-on-4 breaks. With LeBron trailing the play, he looking at the refs. He looking a little bewildered and looking like the old man out there at the run.
Yeah.
And that happens. When the team looks faster, they look younger, and they look out like they have an opportunity to close you out. And that's what the Suns did.
What kind of changes do you think the Lakers should or will make?
So here's how the NBA offseason works for the media. Every player is now going to be linked to the Lakers or to the Knicks.
Yep.
So as soon as Dame Lillard does a tweet, all of the media is going to put him on the Lakers or the Knicks. There's no knee-jerk move for the Lakers. You're not changing your GM. You're not changing your coach. And you clearly want LeBron and AD back. You know, there may be a move there if you try to figure out if you want to do something with Kuzma or choose not to bring back Schroeder, but you have his bird rights, so it's probably in your best interest. But either way, there's no true knee-jerk move, but they will make some roster moves. But you still need LeBron James and AD to be the best players. You still need them to be the driving forces, and you build the role players around your superstars, not the other way around.
If you were Damian Lillard, what would you do?
If I was Dame Dollar, he has total around $400 million signed in contracts. He's actually probably my favorite player. The only guy to have a 50, 10 assists, and 10 made threes in the game has become the clutch performer, led Portland to the playoffs each year. He's on every commercial. He's on every commercial. But Dame got more brands. You can never say you can't get endorsements in a small market. Dame got every commercial, and he has a rap album. I believe that multiple rap albums. I just think they probably changed coaches and Terry Stotts. And how about this for a noble idea? How about fire Terry Stotts if they do so? And by the way, I think Terry Stotts did a great job, so I'm not calling for him to be fired. I just feel like when Nurkic comes out and said what he said after the game, and you've been there as long as he have, and they've had so many first-round exits, I think he just becomes the change. But how about in Portland you do what Boston did? You let go of Terry Stotts from coaching, and you make him the president. How about that? What a noble thing. What a noble thing. And who did better in their tenure as a head coach, Terry Stotts or Brad Stevens? But either way, I think they start listening to calls for C.J. McCollum.
Yep.
But you do whatever makes Dame happy is what you do. And if I'm Dame Dollar, I think I still want to be in Portland at least one more season because I think he may have a chance to help them pick a coach, help them decide on what to do possibly with C.J. McCollum and Nurkic and have his fingerprints on the roster.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad that he's 30 and, you know, at some point you start to look around and go, am I ever going to play in a big game? Am I going to play for a championship here? And I don't know.
He just played in a big game last night. They lost.
It was a first-round game. I mean, that's not a big game.
They was in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago and got swept.
Yeah.
Here's what I just want to caution all media and fans, and I've been saying this for years. Let's not get into the ring counting. Then you force players to start ring chasing. Now everybody wants Bradley Beal to leave Washington, wants Dame Lillard to leave Portland. We're going to start looking at League Pass, and it's going to be like 8 teams with all of the All-Stars.
Maybe less than that. No, I hope Beal stays in Washington, and I hope that Dame stays in Portland. I just don't know what that frustration must be like for him where, I mean, he made the tweet, you know, the Nipsey Hussle tweet last night. Like, how dedicated, should I be here? So that, I don't know. And I know it's after a loss there, but I would just like to see him get an opportunity to show everybody just how great he is instead of just highlights on SportsCenter.
So Giannis is showing us how great he is. If they lose to the Nets in this round, people are going to be saying the exact same thing about him. Giannis shouldn't have stayed. I don't know why he resigned. If I was Giannis, I would go to Dallas. He should go to Miami. And then in a couple of years, you know what we're going to be doing? Saying the same thing about Luka.
Oh, yeah.
Luka should leave. I don't know what's going on. Then we'll be saying it about Zion. Should Zion resign? Then we're going to do it about Ja Morant. Should Ja Morant, I just don't want players, fans, and media to get into this idea that the best team and or the best player is supposed to win the championship every single year or be the favorite, because that's unrealistic.
Are you in New York right now on the street?
You hear those subways. That just sound different. You hear the pans on the street meat behind me. See, in L.A. they have fruit on the street. Out here they have street meat.
What do people say to you on the streets in New York?
What up, Dole? Give the people what they want. You be crisp on TV. You got the best hairline in the game. I know somebody named Jalen. How was it like to have Kobe score 81 on you? I love the Fab Five. I wore black socks because of you. The list goes on and on and on. It's all love.
Yeah, that's pretty good, because New York fans, they can be kind of mean. So I'm glad that they're saying nice things about you.
Oh, yeah, it's all love. I'm a man of the people. You know how we do it.
Of course, I know that. Hey, great to talk to you, and we'll be watching tonight. You can see Jalen and company. NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern leading into the Mavs Clippers. Game 6 on ESPN. Jay, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.